In AD 270, the Roman Empire is effectively split three ways. In the east, for the first time since Cleopatra, power isn't held by a Roman emperor, nor by a barracks general. It's in a woman's hands. In Palmyra, between Syria and the routes to the Euphrates, after Odenathus is murdered, command doesn't pass to a Roman officer. It passes to Zenobia, his wife, regent for her son Vabalithus, but ruler in practice. She isn't a makeshift usurper, a warrior queen who commands armies, takes territory, and challenges imperial authority, at times even claiming the title Augusta. Zenobia is also highly educated. She speaks several languages with ease, moves comfortably between Greek, Roman, and Eastern cultures, and, tradition says, even writes a treatise on Cleopatra, presenting herself as her ideal heir. Not vanity, politics. It's her way of claiming Palmyra is not merely a rebel province, but a world capable of ruling itself. While Aurelian struggles to stabilize Italy and the Danube, Palmyra starts making decisions for Syria, for Arabia, and then for an enormous prize: Egypt, Alexandria, grain, and the mint. Will Rome realize it has already lost in the east? Will Aurelian rise to Zenobia's challenge? To see how Zenobia can take command of Rome's eastern world, we have to go back to Palmyra around AD 267. After the shock of Edessa and years of emergency, the man holding the eastern front together is Odenathus, not a Roman emperor, but the local linchpin who coordinates defense and drives back Persian pressure, pushing as far as the gates of Ctesiphon. Then, suddenly, that linchpin disappears. Odenathus is murdered in Syria, along with an older son, in what sources describe as a court conspiracy. Some put it at a banquet, others name Maeonius as the killer, or the beneficiary. The details differ, but the effect is the same. In an instant, the East loses its on-the-ground coordinator. And in that vacuum, Zenobia, Odenathus' wife, steps forward. This is an internal transition, not a revolt. She takes control as regent for her son Vabalithus, still too young to rule. The move prevents internal fragmentation and preserves the formal order. It keeps taxes flowing and the chain of command intact, at least on paper. And Rome can't simply send a general to replace Palmyra. With Italy, the Danube, and Western crises, the imperial center lacks the ability to garrison Syria. By necessity, it accepts what works. But why can Palmyra carry this weight? Because it isn't a fringe outpost, it's a geographic hinge point. It sits between inland Syria and the routes to the Euphrates, close enough to major cities to intervene within days, yet far enough out to control the desert roads. The numbers make the map clear. Palmyra lies about 140 miles from Damascus and about 170 miles from Antioch along the main Syrian route. Toward the Euphrates, it's a little over 125 miles. It isn't an isolated city, it's a hub linking towns, fords, tracks, and supplies. Palmyra lives off transit. Its wealth depends on trade routes. It controls no port and no great river. It governs the traffic that crosses the desert and flows toward Emesa, Damascus, Antioch, and then the coast. And this isn't just legend. A customs tariff carved in stone, the Palmyrene tariff, dated to AD 137, shows a city accustomed to measuring, taxing, and regulating trade. It's a snapshot of a working fiscal system. In a world where a caravan convoy can cover about 16 to 19 miles a day, controlling a hub like this means controlling time. Who passes, when, and how much gets paid. That revenue pays for the most important part of power: armed men and equipment. That's where real authority lies. And in the desert, mobility and mounted units matter more than sheer numbers. Heavy cavalry, archers, and local networks that can protect the routes and strike quickly wherever the frontier shifts. Zenobia moves in this reality with one decisive advantage. She doesn't look like an outsider. Her dynasty adopts Roman forms and names, Septimia, and governs with recognizable tools: city administration, titles, institutional continuity. It looks Roman enough to be accepted publicly, but the substance remains local. Guarantee security, keep urban cities loyal, and keep money and supplies moving. So without spectacular proclamations, a new center of power takes shape between Palmyra, Emesa, and Antioch, an east that formerly speaks in Rome's name, but increasingly answers to whoever is on the ground and in control. And it's on this new normal, before the great conquests, that the Queen of Palmyra takes the next step. Zenobia no longer merely guards the frontier. She begins taking provinces in broad daylight, provinces that aren't periphery at all, but the empire's economic heart.
Did you know that most people who watch our documentaries aren't subscribed yet? If you enjoy animated maps and history, join our community. Leave a like and subscribe so you never miss the next episodes.
Around AD 271, the Kingdom of Palmyra makes a decisive leap. It no longer limits itself to controlling Syria, but annexes Egypt as well, a province that is not a frontier, but the empire's economic center. This is no sudden windfall. It is a deliberate strategic choice. The line of advance is straightforward. From Syria, the Palmyrene force moves south, crosses Palestine, passes through the Sinai, and reaches the Nile Delta, aiming at Alexandria. It isn't a vast mass. The latest estimates suggest roughly 10,000 to 20,000 men, a picked force made up mostly of Palmyrene heavy cavalry, archers, and mobile eastern units. It's an army built to move fast, not to besiege city after city. Zenobia stands at the center of the decision. Sources depict her as involved in military choices, and tradition places her on the scene at least in the operation's crucial phases. She pays the troops, keeps discipline, and guarantees continuity of command. In an age absent of emperors, presence in the field gives her power enormous legitimacy. The Roman prefect of Egypt, Tanaggio Probus, tries to react, but the imbalance isn't only numerical, it's structural. Probus has no large field army concentrated in one place. In Egypt, forces are traditionally limited. Legionary detachments, auxiliary troops, and urban garrisons for a total of 5,000 to 10,000 men scattered along the Nile, across the Delta, and in the cities. He has to defend a vast territory while the enemy advances as a single column. The outcome is swift. Probus is defeated and dies. Sources disagree on how, but not the result. This is not a siege campaign. Once the prefect falls, some estimates suggest 80 to 90% of the cities involved go over to Palmyra without fighting. Taking Alexandria means the harbor, the mint, and above all, control of a crucial share of revenue and the grain that feeds Mediterranean cities. With Alexandria in its hands, Palmyra becomes a major economic power in the region. And in Egypt, there's a clear paper trail of the transfer of authority. In papyri, in administrative formulas, in official headings, and in dating systems. These documents tell us Egypt has changed masters. One figure captures the scale of the blow. Antioch and Alexandria lie about 500 miles apart as the crow flies. This isn't a province Rome can retake in a few weeks. That distance multiplies time, cost, and risk just when the empire has no margin to maneuver. With Alexandria taken, Zenobia faces a new problem. Syria and Egypt are two separate pieces. If someone cuts the strip between Palestine and the Sinai, Egypt is isolated. That's why, between 270 and 271, Palmyra focuses on securing territorial continuity. It has to be stitched together, or it breaks. To the south, Palmyra's columns consolidate Arabia along the routes that run from inland Syria down to Bostra, capital of Roman Arabia. That node matters for more than symbolism. It controls roads, toll points, and the passages between Syria and Roman Palestine. Holding Bostra and the caravan roads locks down the line linking Damascus and the Orontes Basin to the corridor leading toward Egypt. But the real strategic leap is to the north. From Syria, access to Asia Minor runs through Cilicia, a coastal plain that ends against the wall of the Taurus Mountains. The passes are few and unavoidable. The Cilician gates, and whoever controls them decides who can climb onto the Anatolian plateau and who stays trapped to the south. Palmyra pushes beyond Syria, seizing the passes and choke points that keep the road open between Antioch and Inner Anatolia. And if Palmyra holds the Taurus gateway, any reconquest becomes costly. To enter Syria, you have to pass where Palmyra can shut the door. And when a power controls roads and passes, it can start calling itself an empire. After Egypt and the corridors into Anatolia, Zenobia understands the contest isn't fought only with armies and mountain passes. It's fought with something even more dangerous: legitimacy. For months, Palmyra stays in a gray zone. It effectively rules Syria, Arabia, and Egypt, yet can still present it all as management in the empire's name, a local power needed because Rome is not present. Then comes the turning point, not with a speech, but with titles. In official language, Babalithus, her son, rises step by step, from Rex to Imperator, and finally to Augustus. It's a way of bringing him, piece by piece, into the imperial rank itself. Alongside him appears Zenobia. On some coin issues and in official presentations, she is described as Augusta, a choice historians place between late 271 and 272 with disputed chronology, but with a meaning that is unmistakable. Here, the image of the second Cleopatra is born. Whether the lineage is true matters less than the message. After Egypt, invoking Cleopatra means saying this: Alexandria is not an occupied province, but a legitimate throne, and the East is no longer a loyal periphery, but a world capable of naming its own center of power. The break doesn't come with the proclamation. On Alexandrian coinage and in other official formulas, Babalithus takes the titles Imperator and Augustus and is paired with Zenobia as co-Augusta. Augustus isn't decorative. It's the Roman imperial title above all others. From this moment, Babalithus is no longer an extraordinary governor, but an alternative emperor, and Rome can no longer pretend nothing is happening. Aurelian comes to power in 270 and finds not just an empire in trouble, but one already distorted by crisis. In the West, he has to prevent collapse, frontiers, armies, legitimacy, because if the West gives way, Rome is no longer a credible capital. But while Aurelian stabilizes the Western emergency, in the East, the problem is now structural. A bloc controls Syria and Egypt, and above all, the corridors that link them to Anatolia through the Taurus passes. This is not a revolt. It is administration. It collects taxes, pays troops, assigns offices, and above all, it governs. This is the point of no return. If Rome waits any longer, it loses not only provinces, but the ability to decide in the East. Every month that goes by makes that system more stable and more accepted in the eyes of everyone. Aurelian understands it. In 272, he stops waiting. This rift cannot be mended with letters or compromises. The Roman army moves east in a full-scale campaign. It goes to confront a state that is already functioning with everything that entails. If you found this episode helpful, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. In the next video, we'll follow Aurelian east into the clash with Zenobia and the Palmyrene Empire.